Hey folks, this is the recap for this week in Washington, D.C. So we're in reconciliation right now. So that what that means is we're trying to reconcile the spending and the revenue at the federal level. And there's a lot of reasons that's really important, but one of them is that the taxes that were cut in 2017 will expire. That whole provision will expire at the end of this year. And some people say, oh, you're just trying to protect tax cuts for the wealthy. But you need to know that if that's allowed to expire, the average Pennsylvania family will see a $2,400 increase in their taxes annually. So that's a couple grand, and that's really that's meaningful to everybody. And so we don't want that to expire. We don't want those taxes to go up. So we are working diligently to try and find that balance there and make sure that that we don't increase the deficit. That's what I'm working for, and that your taxes don't go up. And I would report too, one of the things Congress tried to do this week, believe it or not, because again, we're trying to find that balance, is create more revenue for the federal government by charging not only every Pennsylvania, only everybody in the 10th district, but everybody across the country, $20 for every vehicle you own sent into the federal government. I said, absolutely not. I told him I would not vote for that. We were able to kill that. And so people say, well, what are you doing in Washington? Unfortunately, that's one of the things you have to do. But I'm proud and happy to report that we killed that proposal. There will not be a $20 per vehicle tax or fee for every vehicle across the country. So this does mark the president's first 100 days. So some milestones to just highlight. Prices for eggs, gasoline, and a lot of other essential goods are down. Hiring and jobs are up, which is, I think, a good thing. All of us want to see that. The president cut the approval time on a couple dozen energy projects, and that's really important because the price of energy, look, if you look at your electricity bill, the price keeps going up, and there's a reason for that, and the president is working on bringing that down by making sure there's more power available. It's law of supply and demand. The more something there is, the less it costs. And I agree with him on that. Of course, the border, we're seeing record low crossings, which is something I agree with completely as well. We've got a legal process here. If you want to come to the United States legally, the most generous country on the planet regarding immigration, just do it legally. But illegal crossings are down, so the Remain in Mexico policy now exists. So if you want to claim asylum, you're not supposed to go to the country where you want to claim asylum and then claim asylum. You're supposed to claim asylum in the closest and the nearest safe location, the nearest safe country. But people weren't doing that. They were coming across the Mexican border into the United States, claiming asylum, and then clogging up our court system, oftentimes years before their claim would be heard. And in the meantime, doing whatever, maybe creating a family or what have you, and then their asylum claim is denied because it was never valid in the first place. So things like this are keeping the illegal border incursions to a minimum, which I do support as well. Making our allies in NATO stronger, so demanding that they pay more for defense. The United States can't defend every country in Europe, and so I agree with that as well. Protecting women's sports from men competing in women's sports, which I agree with as well. Being transparent and accountable. I mean, the president has held a lot of press conferences where he's been out there. You might not like what he has to say. Sometimes you don't agree. We're all like that. But at least he's out there. You know what he stands for, and he's not hiding anything, which is important. All right, let's talk about a couple of the bills. House Joint Resolution 60. Reverse the rule from the National Park Service that imposes restrictions on the use of vehicles in the Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. I know that's not near us, but it's important if you want to visit that you can use your vehicle there to get there and see the park or the recreation area. House Joint Resolution 78, which reverses the rule from the Fish and Wildlife Service regarding water restrictions in California. They literally pump all this fresh water out into the ocean that can be used not only for their population, but probably as important to anything to us, agriculture. One of the greatest agricultural producing areas, not only in the country, but around the world. And it's restricted by California's draconian water restriction laws, and that's the fact that they just send all this fresh water out into the ocean. So I voted for that. House Joint Resolution 87, these are three of about the same here, reverse the EPA's rule granting California's waiver to mandate that all trucks are zero emission trucks. You wonder why the cost of your goods keeps going up. A lot of goods come into California. They can't get them out of California because they can't use trucks that you see on the roads in Pennsylvania. And so that's problematic at all. And then the next one, so I voted for that, House Joint Resolution 88, which reverses the rule from the EPA granting California a waiver to ban the sale of gas-powered vehicles by 2035. Ladies and gentlemen, this is America. If you don't want a gas-powered vehicle, you don't have to buy one, but it's not appropriate, it's not proper for governments to ban these things so we can't make choices. We want the freedom of a choice. If you want a gas-powered vehicle, God bless you. If you want an electric vehicle or some other kind of vehicle, God bless you. You should be able to buy it without your government banning you from being able to buy, own, and operate it. And then finally, House Joint Resolution 89, which would again reverse a rule from the EPA granting the California waiver to implement NOx or nitrous oxide engine emission standards, which creates an unworkable standard not only for California, not only for auto manufacturers, but for the rest of the country, because auto manufacturers have to operate in that market of California, and then they try and make vehicles to operate there, which they can't do, first of all, and then that affects the prices of vehicles across the country for all manufacturers. If you wonder why the price of vehicles is skyrocketing, that's one of the reasons. And so I voted for that, so we're trying to roll back some of those unnecessary, unworkable regulations that affect every single one of us and the cost we pay or the availability of the things that we want to buy. So those are the highlights for the week. We're going to keep working on this reconciliation package right into next week, and we'll see what transpires. So until then, I hope you have a great weekend. Be safe, and God bless you.